better for gamers if the professionals making games stick in it.
In this video, we're talking to Guitar Hero designer Rob Key about the evolution of video games. So, Rob, how do you feel the games industry is evolving?
Oh, in so many ways. The games industry is like always evolving technologically. And I love that personally. I'm like, both as a gamer and a game designer. As a gamer, I love that there's always like new control systems from things like VR comes along and kind of gives a whole different way of playing games, being in the game. I love that the quality of the graphics. I love that the loading times now as a gamer are like almost non-existent. Like on my PS5 are like so nice to be able to just load a game, jump into it and not have to wait around for things to load. But then as a game designer, I think it's evolving by becoming much more diverse. Like there's many more types of games now that can be successful. You can make a game that costs $80 or more, or you can make a game that's free. And there's many price points in between, and there's many different business models, there's many different platforms, and they're all viable. I think that is like more true now than it's ever been, that there's more different types of games that you can make. I think that's a really positive thing for all of us, because it means there's more. I mean, the overall game market, if you include all of those different types of games, is growing. You know, it's not shrinking. So it does create more opportunity for people to make games.
And how are things changing for people in the industry?
I've noticed a theme of just being more professional, especially the course of like maybe the last 5 or 10 years. A lot of the big AAA and console developers have got their act together in terms of not just accepting that crunch will happen and trying to be like even more rigorous about how they plan games to avoid unplanned crunch. And I think actually in some ways crunch had become institutionalized previous to that, where people were actually planning around having crunch, which is the worst thing ever, where it's one thing to be like, dang, I didn't manage to kind of get the work done in 9 to 5 in planning and I have to work late to make up that time. That's one thing, but it's quite another thing how it used to be, where people would be planning around, well, we're going to have these big milestones, so we'll plan for the team to come in on the weekend and finish before the milestone. No.
Yeah, I've heard stories of people going from one crunch to the next. Hey, Rob, is crunch the actual C word of the games industry?
No, I mean, it's an important word to talk about, I think, because you gotta say it's not what we want. It's not what anyone is or should be trying to get towards. And you don't need crunch to make a great game. Like Guitar Hero, we made that game in 9 months. We only actually did overtime in the final month, and we still managed to put out a game that
rocks!
You know, I've worked on games where I crunched hard and they didn't succeed. So it's not correlated with success.
You can't polish a turd. Well, I suppose you can polish a turd, but it'll still be a turd. It's not always by spending more time that you get better results.
Yeah, but it sometimes just comes down to the discipline, I think, of both game design and game development, to be like, well, let's actually cut some features, reduce the scope, but make the thing we do make as amazing as possible. When players play a game, they don't know how big it said it was going to be on the design document. They only know the experience they have when they play it and whether it's any good. And ultimately, that's what they're going to judge it on, not like the number of elements in the game.
It comes back to what you said about indie games. Concentrate on what's super important.
The same principle applies to big teams too, that you should concentrate on what's super important. And it's just like the fire at your feet feels more present when you're an indie developer because it's so obvious that you've got that big limitation. But actually, big teams have basically the same dynamic at play. It can take a bit longer to realize it. And that's where often later in projects they get into big trouble because the scope issues were set early. It's evolving that teams are actually getting better. I don't want to be a downer. I think the thing that's happening that I've seen, everybody now is focused on trying to be as professional as possible and make the working life of a game developer more balanced between having both a home life and a work life, and that you can get better results doing that, especially on these projects where people are working on for multiple years, because you need to keep going. You can't burn out in years. That doesn't help anyone.
I've got the impression people are having longer careers in the games industry, and there's more of an effort to keep young dinosaurs such as yourself, Rob, because you still got something to bring to the table.
No, it's true. I think it is really true. And you don't want to burn out the people with the knowledge to make games well and make games professionally, because then it becomes this cycle of not kind of being able to make better and better games professionally because those people are burning out and leaving the industry. So it is for the overall health of the games industry and the quality of games. And for gamers out there, it's better for gamers if the professionals making games stick in it, bring their knowledge to bear, and it just raises the whole game of the industry. And I think that is understood now.
This concludes our series of interviews with Rob Key. If you haven't watched the other interviews with Rob, make sure to do so now. You know, this Rob guy is pretty talented.
Yeah, and he's also a really nice chap.
Talking about nice guys, next time we will be talking to programmer
too.
Steve McDreal. Stop interrupting.
Well, I'm telling you, he's pretty good.
Yeah, well, what do I know about programming? Click up here to see his interview.